Now this is a game I've wanted to talk about for years now. Maybe going back around 5-6 years now? No joke, I've owned Dolphin Blue for a very long time now. But for one reason or another, I haven't been able to capture footage of this awesome game until just recently. But here it is, what many people consider a spiritual successor to the Metal Slug series. Even though there was a Metal Slug released on the Atomiswave a few years later after this bad boy. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute pleasure and honor to present Dolphin Blue for the Sammy Atomiswave. When SNK shut down in 2001 and was resurrected as SNK Playmore shortly thereafter, many developers were trying to follow up 2000's incredible Metal Slug 3 with their own creations. IGS had Demon Front for the Polygame Master arcade board, and Sammy had this game you see here, Dolphin Blue. Now the rumor goes that after Metal Slug 3, many of the developers behind that game left SNK and joined Sammy to work on this very game. Dolphin Blue shares a lot of similarities with the Metal Slug series. For one thing, the game is designed around co-op. There's an instant knife kill you perform on enemy soldiers if they get too close to you. Bosses are typically riding large military vehicles, and the whole game has a distinct Metal Slug feel to it. The biggest difference between the two series is that here you don't have slugs or vehicles. Instead, you ride an invincible dolphin. That and the fact the game features 2D sprites over 3D environments and objects. In short, Dolphin Blue is a fantastic run and gun shooter. It really is. It looks great, plays great, and sounds great. The biggest downfall is the large amounts of slowdown that occur when there's too much action going on at any given moment, which unfortunately happens quite often. Now I don't think it's as bad as Metal Slug 2, but it's pretty close. The core gameplay is extremely similar to that of Metal Slug. You run forward, taking out everything in your path. Guns can only aim up, down, left, and right. No diagonal firing here, unless you pick up one of the many power-ups in the form of missile launchers, rapid-fire machine guns, and more. What really separates this game from that classic SNK series is that the gameplay is broken up into 3 distinct sets of stages. You have the classic ground levels where you can shoot in front and behind you, jump around, and perform a special move which works something like the grenades from Metal Slug, except that this move is more like a special attack than a singular explosive. The next set of stages have you riding on your dolphin counterpart skimming the water. These sections are an absolute blast as your dolphin can perform a devastating special attack when your special meter is full. However, you can't turn around. The last set of stages have you completely underwater, and while you can still perform special moves with your dolphin, you have a lot more freedom of movement. These elements come together to make Dolphin Blue feel so much more than just a simple Metal Slug clone. It feels as though the game was heavily inspired by that classic series, but that the developers did much more with the new additional gameplay elements. It might seem like simple additions to the formula, but the game is such a blast because of these additions. The audio and graphics are top-notch. In fact, the overall presentation is top-notch. This was a showpiece for the Atomiswave in 2003 when this game was released in arcades, and I still think it looks amazing. The Atomiswave was extremely short-lived, unfortunately, only lasting until around 2006 with regular, or at least somewhat regular, releases. There were no games released in 2007, only one in 2008, and one final one, Sega Bass Fishing Challenge, in 2009. In total, there were only 25 games released for the Atomiswave hardware, and this one remains one of the absolute best and most sought after on the system. The 2D sprites look fantastic, although I've got to admit a little more variety with the enemy soldiers would have been appreciated. The same can be said for many of the enemy vehicles as they repeat ad nauseum. The 3D backgrounds and structures may look a little primitive today, but I find they really mesh well with the 2D sprites. The soundtrack is powerful and catchy, as you'd expect for a game like this, and the sound effects are extremely loud and feature a lot of bass, again, as you'd expect. Dolphin Blue plays great, has spot-on controls, and has become a long-lost classic for run-and-gun shooter fans. Having never been released on a home console, it is extremely hard to find today. If you're hunting down a copy for the Atomiswave itself, I warn you now to be extremely careful. Bootleg copies of Atomiswave games are everywhere on eBay. Demand that the seller opens up the cart and shows you the board inside. You'll know an authentic board because it will say Sammy on the board, and well, it looks professionally made. There are other signs such as a generic serial number, and the stickers on the cart aren't made of the same quality as the originals. Be safe. Always confirm the boards are legit before placing a bid on the Atomiswave game, and this one in particular can be quite expensive. I'd love to tell you all to check this one out, but unless you emulate it, there's very little chance you'll ever have the opportunity to play this fantastic game. And I can't tell you what a shame it is that this game was never ported to another system because it deserves a chance to shine. And I would have loved to experience this game with no slowdown. But alas, it was never meant to be.